Hi there. This is Lori Lamont from Feminine Female Empowerment EFT, and I am so honored to be here to introduce all of you to Oceana LeBlanc. And now Oceana is a dear friend of mine. I have known her for years, and I've had the opportunity to work with Oceana as one of her clients, and it's amazing. Oceana is she is an oracle. She is a priestess. She is a shamanic healer. She is a tantric yogini. The list just goes on. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Oceana is this feminine powerhouse, and she she's on the brink of this movement, this female empowerment movement, and I'm just so honored to have her here with us. Um, she's been featured in two books, The Spiritual Feminine Pioneers, and then she was a writer with Jeff Brown in Proceed with Love. She was a pioneer in the Red Tent movement and a part of the Red Tent documentary, Things We Don't Talk About. She's a facilitator of various workshops, goddess circles, guest facilitator at events, and amazing, just amazing. I'm so honored to have you here with us, Oceana. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Lori. Be here. I'm excited to be here.
We, as you know, Oceana, I've been running a group for women called the Sisterhood of Ideal Weight. And these women, we've come to learn that, it's not about losing weight. It's not about dieting or calories in and out. It's not about any of that, right? It's all about our relationship with our body and with our food. And then there's one piece of the puzzle that keeps coming up, and that's being uncomfortable with our sexuality. And if we lose the weight, then the men are going to find us attractive, and then we'll have these advances. And there's a lot of discomfort that the women are feeling. So that's why we're bringing you in today, is to help these women understand so many different levels of the sexuality, right? And understand the importance of it. So what we were talking about before was how we really want to embrace our sexuality right now, in the present moment, right? Embracing our bodies as they are right now. So talk a little bit about what you think about the importance of us embracing our sexuality.
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that your sexuality is not for anyone but you. Primarily, it's for you. It's your life force energy, and it's your um, deep, visceral, embodied connection to the divine feminine. Your sexuality is the life force, and it's called Shakti, and it fuels our passion, our purpose. It fuels life. It fuels our ability to co-create with the universe. And when we shut down, no matter the reason, our sexuality and try to dampen it, we literally we begin to snuff out our joy, our passion, our fire, our aliveness, our vibrancy, and our health. So it's absolutely crucial to begin to embrace it. And I totally empathize and understand that fear of, attracting quote unquote the wrong kind of attention. It's a real fear. I think we are fed tremendous mixed messages from the culture and from the media that would make anybody confused and a bit crazy and terrified, actually. And so that a part of my strong purpose is to encourage women to embrace their, the fullness, the ripeness of their femininity, and to learn to navigate through the world in an empowered way with it rather than a fearful way. And I think the first thing to do is to shut off the media. Shut it off. Don't listen. Don't pay attention. Don't read the ads. Don't browse the articles that have ads laced through them, and define what makes you feel beautiful and attractive and sexy on the inside.
And now, I mean, this is what you do for a living. You mentor women to fully embody that inner goddess,
Yeah.
and to manifest whatever it is that they desire. So what you're saying is, by embracing our inner sexuality, be increasing our vibrancy and our health, and ultimately allowing ourselves to attract more good into our lives. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I mean, we're taught from a very young age as females to tamp it down or to use it to manipulate, like be pretty and then in good, be beautiful, but don't be sexual. Like there's so many strange messages around it. And the images of the goddess or the feminine are used in so many ways because it is Shakti, it is this divine principle of creation. And it's so appealing and alluring and magnetic. It's beautiful. Everyone loved looking at and experiencing this beautiful sensuality of Marilyn Monroe. She's still an icon. Or any of the beautiful women that we see on stages and in the movies. Um, it's the feminine form has been used to sell, to promote, to attract. It's just what is in the world, and the goddess is that energy. And so I think if you can begin to look at it as an energy as opposed to the messages that have formed the opinions that we have about it, it's a little bit easier to kind of move into flow with that. Yeah.
Okay. So, so many women have come to me and they're saying things along the lines of, well, when I can wear that bikini, or when I feel like I'll be sexy enough to that, then there's this idea of I can't experience that sexuality until I get to whatever size it is that they want to get to. And
Yeah.
so what is your input on that? Because I'm sure you have something to say about that.
It's so interesting, because in the whole scheme of things, if you really look from a yogic point of view, from the highest self rather than the physical body and the mundane world that we operate in on this level. If you look from that viewpoint, that vantage point, you can see that everything in creation is absolutely beautiful, regardless of how large or small it is. Like we don't say, oh, I like that dog better because it's smaller or larger. We just love the dog or the tree. We may want it in our yard because it fits the size of the yard differently, but we're not going to say, oh well, the large oak tree is far more beautiful than the small rowan tree. Like
Right.
it's ridiculous. And that if we can begin to see ourselves as another part of creation rather than some defining factor that's approved of by the egos of those who are striving to make money, a lot of money, off of our insecurities, then you get this broader, larger view where it's like, okay, let's step back and look at the reality of this for a minute. And so I know that's very expansive and not practical for the woman that's going, but, I want dates and I feel like guys aren't going to be attracted to me. That's, I think, the question that's presented from most women, or I'm embarrassed because I don't look like the women in the magazines. And the truth is, the women in the magazines don't even look like the women in the magazines.
Right.
And the truth is that we are as beautiful as we feel. And the lens of how we view ourselves is what we attract. So if we are thinking and feeling like we're not enough or we're to this or to that, or we don't love our bodies, that message gets broadcast from our energy field. And then we attract a match for that. Like, it's that simple. Like attracts like. And I have seen women who are 300 pounds be, and extremely voluptuous in so many ways, be far more sexy and erotic and gorgeous than some women who are, the perfect size bikini model for an ad, and vice versa. It just depends on what that woman's emanating. And so the work here is an internal job. It's not external. We can use glamour and makeup, and, we can try to hurt ourselves getting into Spanx. Like the last time I tried to do that at the urging of a saleswoman, I mean, it was like I'd worked out for an hour and I had bruises trying to get the thing on and then off again. It was horrible. I'm like, who would do this to themselves on a daily basis? It's not kind, to squeeze into Spanx. I don't think it's a kind gesture to yourself.
Yes.
I think it's kind to be gentle with your body and love your body and honor your body. So it's often a longer journey than just someone telling you what I'm saying right now. And it requires really practicing self-love in so many ways. And we each have our various wounds around that. And so it's okay, so how do we begin to work with a woman with her specific body issue, thought paradigms, or her, mental patterning around it, and begin to give her ways to neutralize those, and to add in activities, thought patterns, and ways to love, practices that help her love herself in such a way that she begins to really get how extraordinary and magnificent she already is.
I know we had one woman in the group who expressed, that if she lost the weight, then she'd get out there in the dating world. And the thought of having someone touch her really scared the bejeebers out of her because it had been a while. And then immediately 3 other people raised their hand and they agreed with the idea of, oh, well, if I make myself attractive, I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to be intimate, and that felt scary. And I was, and I wasn't surprised. It's clearly, there's a decent portion of the women who are on this journey that have this fear. And so I was hoping maybe you could maybe ease that fear a little bit. Not the, I mean, obviously we can't heal each individual fear, but just maybe the idea of being touched or being intimate doesn't have to be, first of all, it doesn't have to coincide with being at a specific weight, right? Yeah. And also, if it's done in the right way, it can be absolutely beautiful and nourishing to us. I think one of the words that really that I heard really clearly was, ripen. Like we have this, almost like these women feel like they're afraid of putting themselves in that position. So I don't know what you had for ideas or types of encouragement for these ladies.
There's so much there. So many different answers.
I know, I'm sorry, I put a lot on you just now, but it all kind of is,
Yeah, so the first thing I would suggest is that the dating game, I'm going to call it a game, for women is truly not about, am I acceptable to him? Like, that's the first thought to banish from your world.
Amen. Can we just clap for a minute? Amen. That's it. Yes. Okay.
The other thing that comes to me is that Um, and it came to me and then it disappeared. Oh, there it is again. Yes, this happens now that I'm, you know, uh, of a certain ripeness in my life experience. My brain sometimes, like, thoughts float and then they float back. So this other one is the wisdom of our ancestors, the deep, powerful, practical wisdom. My mother would say to me, and my mother was much older. She was 43 when she had me. So, like, she was born in 1917, to give you a sort of an idea,
Wow.
like, and then she had me when she was 43, and then I had my son when I was 40. So there's kind of a skipped generation in there somehow. And so the wisdom of the grandmothers, I'm going to say, is every pot has a lid, ladies. And not every man likes every flavor, just as not every woman likes every flavor. And we each have a particular flavor and shape and size of pot, right?
Mhm.
Our sacred chalice, so to speak. And not every lid is going to fit, and not every man is going to like our flavor. It's just not a match vibrationally. So rather than go, oh, I hope he picks me, it becomes, has he earned the privilege of being in my presence? And I would say there needs to be a dignity, a self-respect, patience, and a very clear screening of, what are the features of my chalice and what type of lid do I desire?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a beginning, right? See how the attention is shifted off of the man giving me the attention or not, and me needing it, or trying to win it and be approved of. Like, let's flip this around. Now we can go in the extreme, which is also probably, it's excessive, it's out of balance, and that's if your screening is so particular that no man could possibly win. And that is where a woman has got so many defenses up that she's basically counteracting the purpose of, dating in a way, you see.
Mhm.
That's where those wounds have to be worked on first. So healing those defensive ways of being, and finding security and safety in the world and self-love in the world. And then, let's see. I mean, I don't have to talk to every guy that pings me on a dating site. Like, there could be a certain criteria of whether or not I even respond, right? And then, who gets to the porch, who gets to the kitchen, who gets to the living room, who gets to go as far as the bedroom or the bathroom. Like, I don't let everybody right in, boom, into the tub with me,
Right.
like, immediately, or the bed. Some of them don't make it past the end of the driveway, or even the street, or the town, or the state, or the country, right? Like, where are your boundaries? Find them, be very clear. One of my first spiritual teachers said to me one time, it's really important to see a potential partner through one full year of seasons, so that you know their patterns, their cycles, and the ways that they respond through various holidays, various times of year, various experiences, before you let him in the front door.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, which would be, like, probably considered prude by some of the people today who are dating, and they're like, I don't know, after the third date, that's, how many dates and how many, and I'm like, take a year. If he can withstand a year of courting you, he probably deserves to come in closer, or at least, I mean, we all have to find our various boundaries. Obviously, some people are not going to wait a whole year. However, I tend to feel, and this is going to sound so old fashioned, but I feel like people sleep together far too quickly these days. And it becomes, they've already um, picked fruit off of your tree before um, before they've even entered your yard. It's like, how? Yeah.
So we're talking about boundaries, and some of the ladies in my group, um, unfortunately, they've had traumatic experiences, and that weight is their boundary. It keeps them off of the radar of being attractive. It keeps them from, um, it's done a great job of keeping them safe,
Yeah.
right? It's been like a built-in boundary right there, this weight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not healthy for them, for their physical health. The doctors just, um, and this is where I guess maybe if you have any insight as to how we can maybe feel that the safety in releasing some of that boundary. I personally would use, if I'm working with someone, I would use EFT for healing the traumas. I'm sure you have your own ways of healing the traumas. I think we have to work on the traumas before that boundary weight will go, but I could be wrong. What do you think?
I definitely, working on the trauma is crucial. I think that if we're not working on the trauma, it's like this abscess that's covered over, and
Yep.
you cannot really move forward. I mean, you can't move forward until you begin to heal those things. And I think that EFT is phenomenal, like phenomenal for that. I think EMDR is another tool. And I mean, there are various ones now, spiritual response therapy and on-demand bioenergetics and movement, dance. There are so many therapies out there for trauma and PTSD, essential oils and herbal remedies. But I think it's a combination. I don't think it's this simple one size fits all.
Right.
And I don't think that there's a clear, oh, the trauma's gone now. I think that it lives in us like this beautiful, unique scar that that no one else has in quite the same way. If we can begin to view the things that have happened in our lifetime as art and
Ah,
as the colors that have created the canvas that is our absolute snowflake of a soul, and um, and celebrate that we were genius enough to create such a legendary story that is unlike any other. You see the whole framing of something away from victim and into goddess. I'm going to say goddess is that as a goddess, as embracing your divine feminine essence, your soul, you get to own the whole story. And in that way, you get to write more the way that you want it to play out. As long as you are resisting the creation of it. And I'm not saying blame and I'm not saying shame. I'm going to be very clear about that. Owning the story of the drama that has been does not mean we are at fault for it. It means we are at cause now. It means that we get to claim our cause, our causality. And it can be a very difficult step to take. And it's a practice to keep saying, I I chose that that I came into this lifetime and these experiences happened, and now, I'm awakened and conscious, and I'm choosing still out of cause, only I've learned how to choose um, with much more discernment and with more power and with more clarity and focus about what it is I'm choosing. So I hope that makes sense. It's because I really don't want anybody to interpret what I'm saying as that it's their fault that something happened to them, because that's absolutely not what I mean.
I I think Edwene Gaines describes it so perfectly when she talks about how when she was sexually abused as a child, a baby.
Mm.
I want to say it was like from, I forget, it was 4 months to, there was a period of time when she was a young child, an infant to a young child, where she was sexually abused. And she would tell that story. And then one day she came across a mentor that said, "Are you done? Because you're boring us to tears with this story." And she didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, what if we make it a new story? What if the new story is that you came here to be a woman of power? And in order to be that woman of power, you had to know and experience what it was like to have the absence of power and to truly respect and honor power to the point where you would never misuse that power on another person." And so,
Yeah.
in experiencing what you experience, you are the embodiment of a woman of power and able to empower others through that,
Yeah.
under that growth and that.
Yeah. And there's definitely a power dynamic. I mean, when we are invaded as such, a certain type of the soul gets invaded because we are powerful. We come in powerful.
Yes,
We end up getting invaded so that it almost brings up that warrior that, needs to learn discerning how and when to invade. When is it appropriate? When it is not appropriate?
right.
And there's also another piece in there that I think a lot of people don't speak to, that I feel personally in my work with people, what I've seen, and in my own life experience, that there is a time period, it's different for different people, where it's really important to tell the story the way that it happened, because without that witnessing, we can't come out of shock.
Right.
We need to see the reflection in the faces of those we tell the story to, um, that yes, it happened, like for one, because sometimes it's so shocking we can't even fathom that that just happened to us. Like it's kind of like in shamanism we call it a soul fracture. The soul fragment of the soul breaks off in order uh, to survive the shock and the trauma. To survive the trauma, we go into shock, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that shock is a soul fragmentation. So this is where shamanism comes into play, where it's really powerful as well, where the shaman can go and literally find the soul fragment in a journey and um, work with the soul fragment to heal it, then bring it back and reintegrate that part of yourself so that you are more whole again and you're not like missing this part of your soul. Also, when you're missing parts of your energy, what happens is other energies can kind of just get sucked in to fill the space that don't even belong to you. So you're just not yourself completely. So shamanism can be another really great way to begin to heal trauma. And so I think that for a while, it's important to tell a story, to be validated, because so many times women especially are not validated that they were in fact traumatized, or that violated, like that their boundary was violated. We're taught that we don't get to have boundaries that way. And the truth is, we we do deserve to have our boundaries.
Of course.
In order for that to shift, we need that acknowledgement, recognition, and reflection from others. And then once we've begun to really heal that trauma, then we can claim our new story when we're good and ready, right?
Right, right.
And the new story is so important because without it, we can't move on. We cannot move forward in our lives without that new story.
And that new story is that new perspective, that new way of looking at um, at our past, but also at our present and our future. And
Yeah.
that I feel like putting on that new story allows you to feel comfortable in your skin, allows you to feel no longer like you have to be at a certain size in order to wear a certain thing or to,
Yeah.
all of that kind of falls away
Right.
when you have that new story and you're looking through that new lens,
Right.
I think.
And we also begin to be able to enjoy our sexuality.
Yes.
We've healed. And so enjoying your sexuality for yourself first and foremost, and celebrating it, really that energy emanates. And when we are the authors and owners of our own comfortable, vibrant, glorious sexuality, we call the shots. So as long as we're still in that victim trance, I want to call that trance, of not fully, not fully integrating our soul back together, not fully healed, not, then it's easy to attract more victimization because we're vibrating at victim. And that's where the fear comes from. And it's a righteous fear. Like, I honor that terror of dating in women that have not yet fully healed the trauma because it's smart, it's wise.
Yep.
That's like the pit bull at the gate going, nobody's coming in here because it's just going to attract more garbage of ways we don't want to be treated. So, yeah. And so then there comes a point in healing where you get to say to that risk manager, part of yourself, that pit bull, say, you know what? You've done an awesome job of protecting me. Thank you. Thank you. Here's a treat. And right now, I feel really strong and really clear, and my eyes, the veils have lifted. I'm not in victim anymore. I'm in creatrix. I'm in the creatrix archetype. And I think you can just come lie down over here and take a nap. I've, I can see who's coming and who's safe and who isn't. And if I need your help, I will absolutely call on you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. That's such a great visualization to perfect. Um,
I have my owl mug. I love my owl mugs.
it's wonderful. Um, so I guess before we close out, do you have anything else you'd like to share that you think that these women should be contemplating as far as their comfort level with their sexuality today, um, and the importance of it? Because I think that's something we also really should address, right? I mean, that sexuality is just as important as eating and sleeping and tuning into that. I don't know. Maybe what do you think?
Biggest, largest, potent, most magnificent, most colossal power that we have as women is our sexuality. See, and we've been taught to demonize it. We've been shamed about it. We've been taught to hide it. We've been taught to fear it. We've been taught to repress it. And we've been taught to, um, to vilify even our sisters when they're sexual. And um, probably the deepest, most crucial piece of the divine feminine rising up in the world, of women taking back their power, of the Me Too movement, of the pink hat movement, the kitten hats, of all of that. The most powerful part of that is going to be women reclaiming their own sexuality. Or without that, we haven't got the fuel. to be in our power. So what I want to leave women with is to begin to embrace it in ways that feel safe, to begin to love your body and yourself, and to know that you are absolutely glorious, gorgeous, and exquisite exactly the way you were created. And it's up to the rest of the world to catch up with that fact.
I love it. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Now, if anybody wants to learn more about you, or if they want to work with you directly, or attend some of your workshops or your goddess circles, how would they reach out to you?
Reach out to me, email me, get on my mailing list, go to my website, goddessoceana.com. That's GODDESSOCEANA @gmail.com. Just message me. The website is goddessoceana.com. You can sign up for my 7 goddess tips on there, and that will put you into the newsletter. Yeah, just check in with me, and we can have a quick chat and see if there's a way that you would like something you want to work on, if there's a way that we might want to begin to work together. You can check out my Goddess Oceana fan page on Facebook. I also have a manifestation magic Facebook group that is phenomenal, where I begin to teach women and men how to manifest what they desire. And we're using a lot of esoteric practices and spells and fun manifesting techniques. So all those ways.
That's excellent. Well, I'm sure that some people, I'm sure they're watching this, are going to feel, especially that connection to that soul fracture,
Yeah.
Really.
Shamanic services are definitely on the table. I do shamanic soul retrievals, birth totem retrievals, extractions. I also can do individual rituals for women where they reclaim or manifest what they desire. I also do personalized, individual, unique to you essential oil blends where I take into account all of your energy bodies as well as your desires, and create something that supports you on your journey to wholeness. And I do one-on-one coaching and mentoring, and I also do group coaching. So
You
really
do it all.
many ways to work with me. Yeah.
That's excellent. Excellent.
It's been such a pleasure.
Yes.
Conversation interview thing here with you. I just love the work that you're doing, and I love how real and down to earth and caring and wise you are, and how your work is so needed. I just really appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm so grateful for you taking the time today, and to sharing your wisdom with these women, because they need to hear it. They absolutely need, they need to hear from you. And okay, so we're gonna close out. Thank you everybody for watching today.
Bye everybody. Thank you.